How do I delete my oil pump? And basically the way this worked is it just came from here, down to the pump, down, and then to the intake. Right here, this is a very basic drawing. I'm pretty sure my 4-year-old could do a better job, but I'm happy for her. So that kind of just covers how they work, what they do. I think I actually tested this out once years ago, and I want to say the ratio. That is how you take the pump out of the Yamaha. Very simple, put it all back together the same way. You need to have a pulse to power the Mikuni pump to pump fuel up, and you're gonna bolt it there. That's done. These little cheapy guys here, if you have a 4-stroke and you want to delete your oil pump for your injection, I hate to tell you.
I'll give you my mother's maiden name and my social security number for so I can't refund any money for this just due to the fact that it's...
If you are going to mix your own oil, what you're going to do is you're going to mix, the ratio that you use is 32:1. So what you're going to do is, say if you fill up a 1-gallon can with fuel, you're going to dump this in, because here's your ratio. GN2 is what Honda sells. That's really good for a stock bike. It's just, that's a really high quality oil.
I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just saying I've done this for a long time.
Okay. Every 2-stroke is going to have a pump of some sort. Some of these pumps are driven off of a throttle cable. So keep in mind, not all the bikes are going to have cables like this. I am teaching Paul how to mop the floors. We should strap a GoPro to the mop handle looking at him. See, it says injector or premix. Use your best judgment. If you want to make sure you know exactly what your bike's getting, do this. So we got a call, or actually I should say we get a lot of emails of people asking, how do I delete my oil pump? And it's a very simple process. However, it seems to be something that some people kind of struggle with to figure out how it works, how the system works, what needs to be done, what you can do, what you can get away with, and different ways of doing it. Now we'll go over how to remove the pump on this bike, on the Honda style, and how to remove the pump on a Zuma. The good customers, Honda Elite, purple, just did a full build on it. I'm sure there's a video on this coming soon, but just want to show you guys where the oil bottle is located on this bike, and it's very common. All the Hondas, most of your oil bottles, guys, are going to be up in this region. And basically the way this worked is it just came from here, down to the pump, down, and then to the intake. What the bottles just stayed here merely because it doesn't really matter if it comes out, but you take all the fairings off, you take the gas tank off, all the stuff has to come out to get this bottle off. So this one stayed here because, like I said, the customer wasn't concerned that it was here, and so it's staying here. Here is one of our plugs installed so you guys can see the finished product, what it looks like. This is one of our billet plugs here with a bolt that holds it in. So just want to show you guys real quick the location of the bottle on Honda Elite. Right here, this is a very basic drawing. I'm pretty sure my 4-year-old could do a better job, but I'm happy for her. So this is just a basic drawing, guys, just as simple as it can be. You got an oil bottle. This just explains your system on 90% of these bikes, how they function. They're very simple. Oil bottle, full of oil in here. Very simple. I'm even gonna draw some oil in here. See this? There you go. There's your oil. Oil goes in here. I'm right-handed, so that's why it looks really bad. I just use my left hand. So, well, you're gonna have a big line coming all the way down here, and that's what we just showed you. That's that bottle. Big line coming down, going to the pump. Okay. Out of the pump, you're gonna have a small line coming out of the pump, going to the intake manifold 90% of the time, or the carburetor, depending on how your bike's set up. That's it. That's literally the entire system. Okay. This pump has a gear, however, whether it's a Zuma style or like a Honda, has a gear spun off the crank. It's going to take this oil down here, it's going to pump it, and it's going to pump it into the motor. However much fluid this moves is designed for the amount of oil needed in your cylinder. So this line coming down here, the big one, would come down and connect to here, right here to this port, okay? You can't really mess this up. This is the big port. So that's where that line comes down to. The small line comes out of here, goes all the way up to the side of your carburetor. Now remember, your bike may be different. This is just basic theory, basic design on how they do these. So, so now you guys get it. Same with the Zuma. The pump's in here. Big oil line comes down to one side of the pump, comes back out to the other. It does not put any oil in your motor here. There's nothing coming from this pump. There's no you know, if you take this off here with the pump, okay, you do this, you're not gonna have an oil leak here, guys. You're not gonna have an air leak here because this is not connected internally. It doesn't drip oil into your motor. Now, if you have bad seals in here, then yes, you could have an air leak. You would have to have a pretty drastic leak to notice anything. That kind of just covers how they work, what they do. This one does not have a gear in it anymore, so I think it was deleted in the past, but I'll show you guys. So normally there's a gear, there's a seal in there, right? If that seal is shot, then yes, you could have an air leak, but there's a shaft that comes out to a gear that goes down there, spun off the crank. So, very simple. So now you see how the oil pump works. If you choose you want to keep the pump and you build your bike, at bare minimum what you need to do is take this arm, you need to zip tie it wide open like that, okay? There's normally a bracket here for this throttle cable. Take the throttle cable off or leave it on, whatever you want to do, but you want to take a zip tie from here to here, do 2 of them or tie wire, whatever you want to do, and tie wire that open. That way you're getting more oil, okay? So that's one thing you can do if you don't want to take the pump out and you want to run the pump and use it. Zip tie it open, okay? Also, what you can do, if you're using the pump, you can add a splash of oil every time you fill up. You just get a little bit more oil in there. Again, remember, you're gonna have chance of failure because this is running, and you're gonna be kind of just ballparking. I think I actually tested this out once years ago, and I want to say the ratio ended up being like 60 to 1 or 70 to 1 or something like that. That being said, it was like 10 years ago, so who knows. But it's not much oil. If you want to keep this, you can do that. You can add a splash, zip tie this open. If you modify your bike, you add bigger cylinder, pipe, whatever to get more oil in. That's how you're going to do that, okay? The other option, if you want to get rid of it, if you want to get rid of your oil pump, it's very simple. You've got a bolt back here, unbolt it, you pull it out, okay? What you can do, if you don't want to buy one of our oil plugs, and I'll show you how these work in a minute, you take the gear, you pull the gear out, okay? It's that simple. It just pulls out with your hand, okay? And this is, you were just going over the Honda. You pull the gear out, and check this out. And it was wild, right? Crazy. And then you put it back on. Okay, that's how you delete. If you want to keep it there, and you don't want to buy one of these, and you want to keep this thing here, you just pull the gear out. You don't have to do anything with this. It's not spinning anymore, right? It's just acting as a plug for this hole, okay? If you do that, put a cap on here and a cap on here, just because, like I said, if you do have, now that gear is gone and that seal is open, you could have an air leak, so you want to go ahead and cap these off. Plus, you're going to have a mess because you're going to have the residual oil dripping out of there. So cap them both off if you end up doing that. And you're just going to get rid of your line. So you got one line going up the tank. You do what we did. You just pull the line out, drain the oil. You can pull the tank out. You can leave the tank, okay? So that means from here to the tank is taken care of. You've got this capped off. The tank's gone. The line's gone. Now you have this line going to the carb, okay? Check this out. This is also equally wild. You just pull this line off. That's how you do it, okay? And you come over here, you pull this line off this carburetor right here, and what you're going to want to do there is put a cap on there. If you don't put a cap on here, since you have air being drawn in your carburetor, you're going to draw air in there and you're going to have an air leak, okay? So make sure anything you remove connected to this section of the motor, cap it off. So if you're going to leave this on here, cap here, cap here, cap it where your small line is going to the carburetor, okay? Cap it all off, then you're good. Then you set up to premix. So on this motor, if you want to run a plug, still same thing. You're going to cap all that stuff off, okay? We have two styles of plugs. We have our we have our billet plug that has 2 O-rings and it has a port. The reason for this port, there's a couple reasons. You can use it for your petcock, okay, if you want to go up to draw fuel out for your petcock for your bike. The main reason behind this, guys, is if you're running an AF16 and you put it in a bike like a Honda Dio that has a tank in the floor, you need to have a pulse to power the Mikuni pump to pump fuel up to the carburetor. This here is only going to see negative pressure, not positive pressure, okay? The pumps don't work on negative pressure. We went over that. The petcock's different than a pump. The pump needs positive, negative, vacuum pressure to work. And the only spot to get that is down here in your bottom end, below your reeds, okay, and below your piston skirt in theory. So this bottom section is where you're gonna have that. Up here, you do not have that. So this is why you run that if you want to power a bigger fuel pump, Mikuni pump. You need to have this, you need to have a port down here. So this guy, all you're gonna do, I typically put some Honda Bond on here around this gasket, shove it in there. It's gonna be a really tight fit, but some type of lube, oil, Honda Bond will help. And you're gonna bolt this guy down, just like we showed you on the Elite. You're gonna take a nut and bolt, and you're gonna bolt it there. That's done. This is never gonna come out unless your bolt comes out, okay? So that's one way of deleting it. The other way, we have these little cheapy guys here. These guys, again, you're gonna Honda Bond. You only get 1 O-ring with this, okay? The reason for that bolt is, I think it's to pull the plug out, but you get 1 O-ring, you don't get the port, okay? So this, you're literally gonna take it, you're gonna shove it all the way in, get it lubed up, get it oiled up. I would definitely put Honda Bond on this style, okay? Once it's flat in there, realize you don't have this plate here to fasten to the engine. So what most people do is they take like a big washer and they nut and bolt the washer, so the washer's kind of overhanging the plug, and then that's just how they keep it in. And I can show you, I don't really want to take that one out. You guys get it, okay? Plug goes in, use a fender washer, goes over the top of here. Fender washer is a big washer with a small hole, and then that basically keeps that plug from coming back out. So if this is the most common way of doing it, it's definitely, they do pop out sometimes. It's kind of more common. You have 1 O-ring instead of 2. There are some downfalls. That kind of wraps up the Honda Elite. We also get people asking, these do fit the sprees, they do fit the arrows. However, what you have to do for the arrow is you have to cut that portion off, okay? And on some bikes, you know, if you're doing a Aero 80 or Aero 125 or whatever, you may have to trim this back more. I don't know, because I've only seen like 2 come in my shop in the last 8 years, and I haven't put one on. So they do fit a lot of other Hondas. However, you may have to trim this back. Again, use a grinder or hacksaw, whatever. Just make sure you don't have any burrs or pieces left over that are going to go in your motor. But that kind of wraps up the whole Honda side of deleting your oil injection. The Yamaha, all the theory is the same, guys. The way the pump works, how it spins off the crank, the way your oil system works is all the same. The lines you take off is the same. It's just a different brand. The Yamaha is going to have a flywheel here. Okay, this is where your fan shroud is, guys. You're going to have a flywheel here. So you will need a couple extra tools. You will need a flywheel puller, I guess just 1 extra tool, okay? So you've got your nut and your flywheel. You're going to take the nut off. You're going to take a flywheel puller, not a 3-jaw. If you use a 3-jaw, you're just going to damage something. So it's an internal thread puller, which we stock online. You're going to thread it into the flywheel. You're going to take the flywheel off, right? And then what you're going to do is you've got your stator plate back here, which is your electronics, you know, for your charging system. You're going to take that off. You're going to have a gear with a little pin here. It should be very self-explanatory. And you're going to have 2 screws in the top holding this pump in. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the gear off. You can take the little pin off. And then you're going to take the screws off, remove the pump, throw it in the garbage can, or sell it to some sucker who thinks it's worth money. Whatever you want to do, okay? You do not need a plate for this hole, okay? This is a misconception. People think, I need a plate, I need a plate. No, you do not, because this whole area, your fan is literally pulling in air and filling this whole area with air for your cooling system, and it's going up over the head. So this whole area is open to the elements anyway. It's literally, it doesn't make any sense to put a plug there, okay? It'd be like having a piece of metal with 1,000,000 holes in it and just plugging one. It makes no sense, right? That is how you take the pump out of the Yamaha. Very simple, put it all back together the same way. If you're in here, it's a good idea, honestly, to change your crank seal. We have a video on that, and put a new flywheel key in, since you're gonna be in here anyways. You're talking, you know, $40 in parts to get in here and have the tools and buy all the new stuff to do it. So that's what I would do personally. Don't strip any of these screws out. They are not Phillips screws, and they're called GIS. It's basically it's a different tape, okay? Some of your bikes are going to have Phillips. Some of them are going to have Allens, depending on the year that you have. And there's some different stuff in here. If you have people come here that change things out, just be prepared. You may see some different things in here. So that's how you take the pump out of the Yamaha. Very simple. You don't need a plug. If you want to leave your pump in and just pull the lines off, you can do that without taking your stator plate and your flywheel off. However, that pump is going to keep spinning and spinning and spinning, and it's not going to have any lubricant in there. It may seize up. It may not seize up. It's best to take it out. However, I wouldn't say, actually, I would just do it, okay? If you don't want to, or you're being lazy, you want to get to it later, yes, it will technically work. How long? Who knows? Okay, so it's best to take it out. Very simple. Neither one of these jobs are going to take you guys more than an hour tops to do. Very easy, very simple. So hopefully it kind of makes sense to you guys. Again, it's a very simple theory. It's a very simple process, but there's a lot of misconceptions on people that think they need plugs for a lot of different bikes. You don't need them for the Yamahas. You do need them for the Hondas, because if you leave this open, that is directly down into your crank, okay? So that area there will just pull air in. Your bike will not even start with that open. I have also seen these plugs pop out, and then the bike will die. So keep that in mind. If you don't lube these up, and that one's never coming out with a bolt, okay? This one, if you don't lube it up, and you don't make your little washer and everything, the odds it's gonna come out, I would say, are probably about 80%. If you don't use some type of sealant on here, and you don't use that washer, it's probably gonna come out. A little bit more work required with this, less work required with this, but there's a big price difference. So there you guys go. There you guys have it. Post down below if you have any questions. If you have a 4-stroke and you want to delete your oil pump for your injection, I hate to tell you, you don't have it. So I already foresee that coming here. As far as oils, we went over oils. Ratios, I do 32 to 1, some do 40 to 1. That's kind of most common. 32 to 1 to 40 to 1 seem to be the most common ratios that you see, but it's up to you what you want to run. Do your own research on that. So thanks for watching. If you guys have any more questions, post down below, and we'll try and make you some more videos.